Now let us have a virtual journey of sculpture art of Amravati Mahastupa. While the Gandhar and Mathura schools flourished, quite separate school existed in the south under the patronage of Andhra kings. The main survival of the period is remains of the great stupa of Amravati. The art here in Amravati can be seen of Hellenistic influence, but while travelling from Gandhar and Mathura to the banks of Krishna river, it has deviated and evolved into its present form. The edifice was decorated with a large rectangular panels on each of which the sculptor had portrayed a stupa. They show a high bell-shaped edifice surmounted by a square hermica which support two parasols. Most of its surface is covered with a row of bas reliefs. The upper series relates to the cycle of legends concerning the Buddha's nativity. The great balustrade followed the original type in the main features of the construction. It consists of the posts or pillars of 3 yards in height, which are connected by crossbars and covered by continuous coping stones. The decoration of this monument has been carried to an unparalleled extreme of richness and refinement. The outside of both the pillars and crossbars are thickly covered with a beautifully carved lotus medallions alternating with a gamboling drops in a various attitudes. On the inside, the ornamentation is different. The central lotus medallion of the pillars are replaced by a medallion containing some story-telling relief. The space above and below is occupied by smaller panels representing episodes related to Buddha's life. Along the inner side of the coping, there runs a series of sculptured scenes, while outside it is decorated with the motifs of garland bearers. The space left vacant between the curves of the waving scroll is filled with various symbols such as the Bodhi tree, a wheel of the law, a stupa, a five-hooded naga, Garuda, etc. The illustrative reliefs are chiefly concerned with Buddha's legends. One can recognize many familiar stories here. Most of the sculptural panels, drum slabs, drum pilasters, dome slabs and pillars are inscribed. One of the pillars of the railing depicts the scene of the celebration of Buddha's enlightenment under Bodhi tree along the bank of Niranjana river. Sujata offering food to Bodhisattva, Indra disguised as a hunter offering clothes to Buddha before 7 years of severe penance, temptation of Buddha by Mara's daughter, Maravijay, the attack and defeat of evils have been depicted in the sculptures of aniconic phase. When Buddha is shown using symbols like Dhammachakra, Buddhapada, Vajrasan, Stupa, Bodhitree, etc. Asit visit to Shuddhadhana's palace, birth of Siddhartha under Shala tree, departure of Siddhartha, Gautam from Kapilvastu on his horse named Kantaka, Buddha's visit to Kapilvastu after his enlightenment where he meets his wife and son Rahul, conversion of Nanda, Buddha's cousin and his beautiful wife, Shibi Jataka, Bodhisattva Shibi guarantees his own flesh to protect a pigeon, Champaka Jataka based on generosity of Nagas to their guest, Vesantara Jataka, generous donation by King Vishwantara to Brahmins, Shankapala Jatak, he being coiled around an anthill which is soon going to be attacked by villagers, Rupananda getting the moral that outer beauty is not permanent, Mandhata Jataka sharing of throne by Mandhata and Shakra, visit of King Udayan to his wife and the episode of visit of King Shuddhadan to Maya, visit of Buddha to King Ajashatru, worship of Buddha's relics, caskets by Naga kings, 7 Buddhas, worship of Buddhas in the form of the flaming pillar, King Shuddhodhan presenting group of banyan trees to the Buddha seen from the Tushita heaven have been beautifully sculpted. The distinction between the early and late phases can be made based on naturalistic inclination and flow in a bodily movements of the more expressive in a later phase. In some later phase depictions of the 3rd century CE, Buddha has been represented in human form. Animals like elephants, horses, geese, lions, composite animals, makaras, lions with wings that is a griffin, etc. have been shown at various places. Yakshas, Yakshis, Mithunas, devotees, chamardharis, attendants, royal figures, maladharis, etc. are depicted at various places throughout the sculptures and fragments. The early phase of artistic depiction has been dated to around 100 BCE. Images of bodhisattvas, Buddhist goddesses, Buddha, Naga, Buddhapad, inscriptional slabs and remains of some later dated shrines were also found. Apart from this, the court procession and domestic scenes are full of movements and excitement to express festivity. The cleverly rendered difficult postures of human and animal figurines show the technical mastery of carvers. The use of both anthropomorphic images of the Buddha and old symbols representing his presence indicate that they belong to the traditional phase. According to Verma, the study of the human body from 9 different angles called sthanas was the contribution of the Amravati artists. Scholars also believe that the Amravati artists introduced the principles of bodily composition as seen in the Bharat dance tradition. The Mahastupa at Amravati presents one of the early examples of Buddhist stupa of the Andhra Pradesh region, which later on developed into a regional style of this particular region. The majestic Mahastupa at Amravati bears testimony to its glorious past, which has been preserved through an array of rich sculptural treasure scattered in the different museums all around the world, epigraphic records engraved on the architectural members of the Mahastupa and prosperous architectural heritage. The archaeological remains of Dharnikota, an ancient flourishing urban center, are located near the site of Amravati. The role of this prosperous urban town has been discussed by various scholars. The architectural and sculptural legacy of Amravati further inspired to many Buddhist monastic sites, and this journey continued till the 3rd 4th century of Common Era. Numerous Buddhist sites such as Chandavaram, Goli, Ghantasala, Jagaipatta, Aluru, Gudiwada, to name a few, emerge as important Buddhist monastic sites in early historic period, which influenced and inspired by Buddhist site of Amravati. In this module, we have studied the architectural, archaeological and art historical features of the Mahastupa of Amravati and how this Buddhist site of Amravati inspired and influenced the architectural as well as art historical traditions of the Deccan. I hope this virtual journey of architectural and sculptural heritage of Amravati will enrich your knowledge about this magnificent Buddhist site. Thank you.